every single painful thing we deal with, if we can learn how to look at it and listen to it, it's a gift.
Well, how did that happen? I mean, I'm sure there are people who want to know, well, how do I look at these very difficult, maybe tragic things in our lives and see them as gifts? What happens in the psyche to let you do that?
That's a tough question.
It is a tough question. It's kind of an existential question.
Yeah, it is. It's a tough question.
There may not be an answer today, but it's good to think about.
But I'd love to come back and talk to you about that and really have a full conversation about that, because we could.
Yeah.
And actually, I think that's what I write about in Stepping Stones, is how to begin to see what's happening in your life and resolve it. And once you resolve something, it automatically becomes clear that it was a gift.
So you're talking about a real shift, a psychological shift from victim to empowerment.
I'm so glad you said that.
I mean, that is the big leap.
I'm just so glad you said that, because honestly, up until the time I found a way to transform this, I was in a huge victim place. Not just with the hair pulling, but with a lot of things.
That was
in my
just
life.
a symptom of the pattern.
Right. And what happened to me, one of the biggest things that happened to me, is I finally found a way to get past the victim place. And it wasn't like all those years I hadn't tried to get past the victim place.
Right.
I had tried to force myself through that victim place. You know, all those years of counseling, all those years of looking for outside answers, I was looking for somebody to tell me how to shift that place.
Right.
And what happened was, when I turned inside and dropped into this journey and followed my intuition, guidance, whatever you want to call it,
Yes.
when I followed that path, I found a way to get through that victim place. And you know, that's just a part of what I teach people when I teach adults.
I mean, I think that is just huge, because I think victim mentality is rather rampant in our culture, for sure. And we are completely disempowered. We cannot make good decisions for ourselves when we feel that we're blaming someone or the problem is outside ourselves. Because if it's in our reality and we're experiencing it, it's about us.
Right.
That's a big leap in consciousness to take. But it's imperative if we are to be the empowered priestesses that we are born to be.
Right. It's crucial.
It's crucial.
Right there.
So, but let's go back to the intuition.
Okay.
And the guidance. So when you talk about that, this is a theme that often comes up when I talk with women about how they find their life work. And they'll often say, I've had this discussion lots, and it is something I love to talk about because it's so important. When you say, I followed my inner guidance, what does that feel like to you, or what does that sound like to you? How do we know it's our inner guidance? Was it a feeling? Was it words?
Let me tell you a little bit about the process, okay?
Yes.
When I was up against the wall with my pain.
Okay, it got so painful.
It was so painful.
Yes.
And I ended up U-turning inside myself. In that moment, I didn't have a lot of resources. So I ended up picking up a notebook and writing. I wanted a life filled with joy and freedom, and I was in prison.
Right, so you saw something. Well, that's a very poignant place where we get to our life where we see something we really want and we know we're not there.
Right.
And so you basically, it sounds like you kind of almost went into a surrender mode. You stopped pushing and you started listening, writing, listening to yourself. Is that true?
I did start to write, and I did start to hear my own voice.
So like journaling, you're talking about, you just were writing whatever came.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I used a particular kind of journaling where at first I just began writing letters, letters to God, letters to whoever, to try to just get out all of this pain. And in time, in this crisis, in a few days, what happened is I started hearing I started hearing my guidance. And I started to also hear my own voice for the first time. Really, literally for the first time. Because all those years of pulling my hair out numbed my voice, and it gave me a way to, stop. And so this was the first time I was able to really listen to myself and my own inner voice.
Okay, so this is such an important thing, because when we try to live our lives according to what we think other people want from us or expect of us or desire for us, that's how we give our power away. And that's when we feel victimized.
Right.
So you came to this crossroads in your life where you basically wanted your power back. And you got it.
I did.
And it spoke to you. And it was you speaking.
Right.
Yes. When you bring people through a process of healing, that's what the ultimate goal is, to get them to reconnect with their own voice and not all the voices from outside.
Yes.
Right.
That's exactly what I do, is
Right.
I take them through the same process that I went through as best as I can.
Right.
And to put them back in touch with who they really are in their own voice.
Without the behavior.
Right.
Yes, because the behavior distracts from the true self.
Right.
Right.
My work is not about teaching people to cold turkey stop their behavior. And in fact,
What
what
happened?
happened to me is that the behavior propelled me into this transformational moment.
It brought you to a crisis.
It brought me beyond that in terms of letting the hair pulling go, releasing the hair pulling. I call it releasing my hair pulling. I made a declarative statement. I had this moment where I demanded my freedom.
You are a very strong person. I mean, and you're teaching, your work sounds like it teaches people to find their own inner strength.
Totally.
Which everybody really has. They just sometimes don't think they have it. Right.
I had no idea I had any strength or any power up until
Right.
I went through this experience, honestly.
I know, it's so beautiful. It's like it's really like a fairy tale story where you're, dark in the woods and you realize nobody's going to come and save you, and
Right.
you realize that you have the power to walk out of those woods yourself. So-
We are the only ones who have the answers.
Right.
There are all these secrets in our minds that we are hiding from ourselves.
Right.
How do you get to that stuff unless you begin to really listen to yourself?
Yes, and it's very hard when the messages from the culture, from the family, from the lineage all tell one thing. I mean, certainly as women, and this is just separate from this kind of behavior, which is extreme. Let's just look at women in our culture and the messages that we get. And so many of those messages are, you can't.
Right.
Even though every woman knows, but I can. But we sometimes believe that we can't.
Right.
And so, of course, we need each other to help to say,
Yeah.
you can. So I wanted to show, I'm very impressed by these books here. What's Wrong with Pulling My Hair Out? This is this is a workbook, correct?
It has lessons in it. The beginning of it, maybe the first half, is all philosophy about what I came to understand about healing.
I mean, I can't even imagine the level of relief that a person that suffers with this would find when they find this book. Now, this other book, which I also really love, Why Won't My Child Stop Hair Pulling? So I can equally just imagine how parents, the trauma of parents finding that their children are doing this and having absolutely no idea
Right.
what it's about, how to help. So this is a tool for that. Well, you are doing some beautiful work in the world, and I thank you so much for being on our show today. Well, another amazing priestess entrepreneur out in the world, Abby Rohr, and you can find her at pullfreeatlast.com. If you would like to know more about the Priestess Entrepreneur Spirit and how you can support and empower yourself to become the Priestess Entrepreneur that you might have, your part in yourself that's yearning to be free. Priestess Entrepreneur, success is an inside job, and that we know for sure. So thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Cindy Morris, host of Priestess Entrepreneur Kitchen Table Conversations.